The success of our society proves that our system works, but maybe we forgot to teach our young folks that wealth is achieved by helping people to get what they want. So, if no one has yet taught you how the game is played in the big leagues, well, guess what? Now, it's your turn. There's a billionaire locked inside you. The key to freedom is information. The kind of information you find here on the Money Man Report. Now, here's today's host. Here's the Money Man. Here's Dan Frischberg.
Hello, everyone. Since you know about the military, Daniel, would you introduce us, Lindsey Streeter?
Okay, so this is our podcast, and I just want to welcome everybody. And the reason Alicia is leading here is because she always did the program called Behind the Fame, and she's great at getting to the bottom of celebrities. Lindsey Streeter is a military celebrity. He was the senior enlisted man in the Army. He was a sergeant for many, many years, but he became the lead sergeant major of the Army. And Lindsey ran the leadership school that was actually for generals and colonels and everybody. It was the Army leadership school, and Lindsey was the senior leader of it. And so when we talk about leadership, this is the guy. So this is as close to a celebrity as the Army produces. And so, hello, Lindsey, welcome.
Hey, Dan, and Alicia, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I did run a leadership academy. It was one of 12 leadership academies in the Army, and I did achieve the rank of Command Sergeant Major, which is the senior enlisted rank. Really happy to be here as a part of your podcast. Dan, you and I have a little history, and Miss Alicia, anything that you touch seems to turn to gold. So I'm excited to be here this evening.
Well, thank you so much. So what I want to know, I want to tell people that Lindsey Streeter now is the coach and organizer of the Hurricane, which is I guess semi-pro, you would call it, right?
Not only organizer, is the owner.
Right, but I mean, he's the creator of it, and this is a semi-pro basketball team. And the thing is, he hasn't been doing this for 20 years. I guess he played basketball. You know a little bit about basketball, but this is a team that is. Talk about the record of the Hurricanes for this year.
Yeah, so this is our maiden season. We had a goal to come in and to be competitive day one. I didn't want to be in a situation where we were ramping up. We wanted to come here and hit the ground and actually be a force to be reckoned with, hence the name. But we're 5-0 right now in the Triple Threat Basketball League. The Southern Division, we're number one in the South, and overall throughout the country, we're the number 3 team. There are a couple of other undefeated teams that have played 1 or 2 more games than we have. So we're fortunate in the start that we've got, and we're excited about the players that we've amassed here in Savannah.
So is the success contributed to leadership, or how did it come about?
How do you create an undefeated team that could be nationally ranked? How do you do that?
Yeah, we actually sat down 2 games ago at 3-0, and we wanted to really take a good look at ourselves and figure out how do we get in this posture, and how do we keep it going. And so what we tend to find out what's going on with us is that we've created this merger of trust and leadership and a desire to win for one another. And that we have that merger there where teammates trust one another and the skill sets that they bring to the team. They want to win for one another, and they bought into the leadership and the vision that I've laid out for the Hurricanes.
So this is something that you knew how to do already. Obviously, everybody doesn't come to a team and know how to do that. this is something that you knew they needed. And now what I want to know is, how do I do that with my team? How do I duplicate that kind of success in my
Well,
life?
yeah, so I think the key to a team is teammates understanding exactly what their role is on the team, and then doing that well. And then that's where the trust is built, because teammates understand what one another brings to the table, and they lean on that teammate to deliver in that particular skill set within the confines of that skill set. So we got a guy that we know is going to shoot from the outside. He's efficient from the outside. When we give him the ball from the outside in his spot, and we expect him to do just that and nothing else differently. Not on the court. If you're going to get it, you're going to do something new, do it in practice and get proficient at it. But on the court, we expect you to do the thing that you made the team and you proven to the teammates that you can do. And in the clutch, we rely on one another. And so far it's working out well, Dan.
See, yeah, they're all role players, and how do they get to that? How did you figure out what each guy's role is?
So I assembled a panel of coaches and evaluators when we were looking for talent. And we narrowed it down to a few guys, a handful of guys. I hired my head coach, and then the final tryout went through him. And what he did in the final tryout was he looked at skill sets, he looked at fit and synergy. But more importantly, Dan, I had a vision of having a community nested and a community invested basketball team that gives back to the community. So there's a certain personality type that I was looking for, of selflessness and the willing to go out and to conduct youth camps and to go into schools and to go into camp meetings and churches and the like, and talk about character with our youth. And so if you weren't willing to do that and give back in that, and from that standpoint, you can't be a Hurricane. And so we actually passed over some talent because they weren't willing to give us that extra piece off the court. What I believe is that if I can get a player to tell others that they should be behaving a certain way, over time, that messaging should convict that player to perform and behave that way themselves. Thus, we get a better player on the court and off the court and contributing back to the community.
So where did you learn how to do this? Obviously, it's leadership that you've been teaching for many years, and you must have been borrowing from what you were teaching people in the Army, of course. But where did you get it in the first place?
Yeah, I have to. It's a lifelong learning process. I would have to give credit to. So I wasn't a basketball guy. I was a football guy. But I began to play football at an early age, and I was a quarterback. And of course, the quarterback is not only the leader of the offense. Typically, they're thrust into the leadership role for the entire team. So at a very young age, I was in leadership. When I got into the Army and learned the art and the science of leadership, it began to make sense. The things that I was doing naturally, or the positions I was finding myself in, I now had a scientific justification for my actions and my verbiage, and understanding the importance of an example and a leader. And then as you advance through the Army, as you know, Dan, you begin to go through leadership academies and schools where they begin to upscale you. And all of a sudden you're at a point where you're crafting or assisting with the crafting of vision statements and mission statements. And you're learning how to align actions with those vision and mission statements to see things come to light. And so I just lifted and shifted those same concepts over into the Hurricanes. And, you have to have a rally cry. In any organization, you have to have something that gels the teams together, because you got to be able to pull on heartstrings. And so the Hurricanes, we try to find something to play for each and every game. And that reason can be a community-based reason, or it can be something that's internal to the team, something we can rally them around to get those fires burning. Last week, we played for our veterans. We played a veteran-dedicated game on 12 November, one day removed from Veterans Day. We had about 100 veterans in the stands that we loved on and acknowledged. And they became our rally cry. I talked to the players about the noble profession of serving and some of the sacrifices that those men and women out in those bleachers have made. And they're here to see us today on some sponsored tickets that were distributed through the VA and a couple of other venues and avenues to get them there. And we owed them a good performance today. And that was the rally cry.
Is as part of the leadership, isn't it important that you are very careful with how you say words to your followers or to your team, or to, because if you say something that you don't really mean, or something that does not transfer to them, it's a difficult process.
Yes, absolutely, Miss Alicia. It's extremely important that you're careful and deliberate in the verbiage that you use, and you got to understand that words have power. Words are, what a mentor told me years ago, it's like firing a gun. Words have the same effect as a bullet, and it's gone, and it's going to leave a mark. It's going to hurt, harm, or sometimes kill. And so you have to be really careful. What I try and do is I try and align my verbiage and be consistent in what I'm saying. And what I'm saying to my players, to my GM, and to my coaches is that it all goes back to our initial mission statement and what we're about. When you look at our logo that was designed by my son, Leander, who you know well, it's a storm. It's a hurricane. If you know anything about a hurricane, it has some elements to it. It has that storm wall that gives us its punch and power. That's our players, and that's the effect we want to have on the court, off the court, in the community. And then it has the wind and the rain, but in the center it has a calm eye. The leadership, the eye of that storm is even keeled. You can even exist in it. You can fly a plane right through it, and you wouldn't believe what's happening on the outside of that eye. And then after the hurricane goes through, there's an after effect. You know that it's been there. And that's the residual effect, the positive effect we want to have on the community in the wake of what we do. So my verbiage aligns just with that. I'm either talking about that force I want to see on the basketball court. I'm doing it in a calm and in a collected way, and a deliberate and consistent way. And I'm charging my GMs and my GM and my coaches with being the same way. A consistent leader, that calmed eye, no matter what's going on, how chaotic it is, when you look at that leadership, it's firm and steadfast. And then I'm looking back at after the effect to see in an after action review how effective we were as we came through the area. And so my verbiage aligns with that. I'm talking about
what a privilege to get to talk to you about this. Tell me this. For somebody, there's a lot of people listening to us who are running businesses. They've got teams, and they're putting together teams, and they wish they were better. Can you give me some steps for somebody to reevaluate, redo where they are? Because they came in, they had a good idea, they got a business, and generally they're adding people as they go, and they didn't really have a big plan about it. And now they find themselves with a team in charge. What can you give me some steps that I or one of our listeners can take to become that leader, to create that winning team?
Yeah, you have to have a solid mission statement to begin with. You got to know exactly where the end in mind is. Where do you want to end up? Where are you taking this particular organization? So you craft a mission statement, and you got a core of leaders. It's good to bring them to the table and to help you craft the mission statement. And that mission statement process is 3 elements to it. It's be, do, and have. You're looking at what you want to be. What do you want to be? What do you want others to say about you? What do you want to say about yourself? What do you want to be said about your organization? So who do you want to become as an organization? What are the things you want to do as an organization? And what are the outcomes that you want to have as a result of those things? And you craft your mission statement around that framework of be, do, and have. You lay that out. you make the mission statement, and then you hold yourselves accountable to that mission statement. So every action within the organization gets vetted through the mission statement for integrity. And if it doesn't fit within the model of the mission statement, you don't do it. And then you build teamwork and efficiencies and training that nest and align with that mission statement. So now you have the skill sets, and the only thing you have to add is the will sets, the motivation that it takes your team, because they're skilled. You understand the direction. Now, how do we keep them motivated to move them? And then you got to check. You got to check along the way to check your progress and tweak things. But I think a lot of businesses fail because they don't start with a solid mission and vision statement in the beginning. And they try and build the airplane in flight. And even if they build it, they don't know where they're flying it to. Create a destination, build the plane, train the people, get on board and fly it.
What a brilliant idea. We're in this group, mastermind group that we go to every while, but it's all full of CEOs and very successful people. And I think that nothing would be better for that group than for them to invite you to speak there. You're so good at this. And
I love to, Dan. You know, it's funny. I just had a very successful businessman and close friend call me and say, Lindsey, the next step for you is to go into corporations and meet with them and talk leadership. Now that you own a team, and just leverage your experience in the Army, your experience as a team owner, and help others with those conversations about leadership and teamwork and vision statement and those sorts of things. So that's why I'm so quick with these answers, is because I just had a conversation a week ago along these same lines. And he challenged me in the same way, much like you and Miss Alicia are doing me right now. So I think we may be onto something.
This level of success is worth emulating. I think that nothing could be better for our group, the Board of Advisors, than to invite you to speak there. I'm going to arrange for that to happen this coming time. And
Okay.
but we're just starting out in a new endeavor that Alicia is doing, and that's exactly where we're going. What is it?
Be, do, and have.
Do and have. Be, do, and have. All right. That is wonderful, and I love it. Now, is there any way that the people listening to us, if they don't live in Savannah, where can they see the Hurricanes? Are you on TV or in some place?
Yeah, we stream on ttblpro.com. That's the Triple Threat Basketball League site. Also, we're on Instagram right now, and we're starting a YouTube page.
Daniel Frischberg has been the voice of reason for countless networks from CNBC to Fox Business, and now he's turned his attention toward building wealth for millions of more people. With 70+ years of experience developing strategy and an understanding of the market, Daniel Frischberg is the money man.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Lynch. I'm a Houstonian. I'm a commercial real estate broker, and I have been a student of Dan's for about 3 years. I've really benefited a lot from the classes. I have found the things that Dan has taught me is to understand a lot of the outside influences that affect the market and new ways to look at the marketplace for other opportunities.
I had more like swing trading with very little knowledge of the big macro picture. So consequently, I had no strategy. It was basically look at the charts, and when the market hit a certain level, then just go long. And when it hit the other level, just go short. I was pretty much sailing around, but never really getting anywhere.
Whoever is really seeking to navigate the market is going to have to rely on sustainable data. Because the data and the research is what gives you the conviction to be able to invest in a company. Dan teaches you how to seek the data, how to analyze the data. It's so fundamental.
You get a very deep understanding of how the markets move and why they move. In addition to that, you make more than the money that it costs you for the services. You make it because they're actionable ideas, and you can actually invest in things that will make you money.
Now I know how to find opportunities in the down market. I can take advantage of that, and that way I can make money that way. And I had multiple examples of stocks that I traded and positions that I took when the conditions were appropriate, and I was able to make money, in some cases 10%, maybe 25%, and also in some cases 60% rate of return on my investment. And all that gives you the ability to position yourself and become a better investor, a better trader.
It's been great working with Dan and Alicia because of the number of years of knowledge there. So they're capable of answering any questions I have in a very confident and thorough manner.
Biggest result of this course has been me being able to say, I can do that, and how can I do that, instead of, I can't understand this and I can't do this, it's too hard.
I'm thrilled to have this rare opportunity to learn from an expert and a great teacher like Dan. Thanks, Dan.